What's up, and welcome to That's Enough, the show full of the sports topics we just can't stop talking about. He is Steve Hofstetter. I am Mike Janela. We haven't talked about it quickly, Steve, but this nice little studio you've debuted in the last couple of weeks, it's full of what?
These are first pitch jerseys. Here, I'll tilt up the laptop there.
Yeah, for those watching, you have thrown a first pitch, and you got your personalized jerseys of every MLB team you've thrown a first pitch for. That's got to be at least a dozen, right? It looks like.
So I have thrown, including major, minor, and independent, I've thrown over 40.
Wow.
Yeah, I've thrown. I think I threw 3 for Cleveland. I threw for the Indians and the Guardians.
Look at you.
I did get a new jersey. I wanted to just embroider Gar over it. Just to...
Yeah. If you're going to make me go out there 2 times, at least make me 2 different jerseys.
Exactly. I actually haven't thrown one for the Mets yet. The jersey I have for them, there it is from when I hosted Mets Live. But but I actually haven't even thrown one out for my hometown team. That's it.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll see if I know anybody that works there. I might be able to get your name in there.
All right.
I'm curious, though, Steve, your first ever first pitch compared to your most recent, how did those two compare? And that leads us seamlessly into your topic for this week. And this actually, no, the real reason that we thought about this was Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest boxers of all time, no one will argue that, is fighting this weekend. The man's 46 years old. He's fighting the current WBC welterweight champ, Mario Barrios, who's 30 years old. He could be his son. And we're going to see a comparison of errors in the ring, and it could end very poorly. But you have a way you want to take this yourself.
Well, that's about how the difference in my first pitches. It was from when I was 35 to when I'm 45. And so, I threw a little, my arm hurt less afterward. When I started, but it is, look, so I hosted a program for FS1 called Finding Babe Ruth. And the premise of it was that how would Ruth stack up today if he were playing today? And we interviewed everyone from, coaches to, we interviewed Pedro and Garrett Cole and, Scott Boras. And there were tons of people that we interviewed about it. And the thing that I learned the most from it is that these athletes who are true competitors would have had access to whatever the new developments are. And so when you look at someone who was pretty good in the past, we don't know how they would do now. Maybe they were just naturally pretty good for that era. But when you look at someone like Ruth, the idea that he wouldn't have been training the same way that people train now. And there was even the moment that stuck with me the most is he had a bit of a slump. He used to swing a bat that was like, I think 42 ounces.
Yeah, a monster bat, massive bat.
He was in a slump. As a joke, he borrowed a teammate's bat that was like 32. Hits 3 home runs that day. And in the interview after the game, he goes, imagine what I would have done if I wasn't swinging this toothpick. Yeah. Not, hey, bat speed matters.
Right.
Because he just didn't know. Yeah. And so when you look, the question of like Jordan or LeBron, the question of like, is, Gretzky or Ovechkin now? They would have had access to what we know now. They would have had the statistical analysis. They would have had the weight training. They would have had, they wouldn't have been on buses from games. They would have been on more comfortable travel and better hotels.
They wouldn't have been smoking cigarettes between innings or between quarters.
Exactly. They would have, like, when you look at that, it doesn't make sense to think that their mindset would still be stuck in that time also.
So for me, this is always when these arguments happen, how would Babe Ruth do in today's game? How would Bob Gibson do in today's game? Would Bill Russell have a chance against Nikola Jokic? You have to decide the parameters of the argument, because do they have the access to all this? Would Bill Russell have had the same nutrition, the same equipment, the same training from childhood that Nikola Jokic has had? Or are you just plucking Bill Russell in a time machine as is and dropping him in today's NBA? Because if it's the latter, I don't think any of those guys would have any chance. I think Babe Ruth would go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts every single time if you just literally plucked him and his out of shape, beer drinking, 42-ounce bat, no technology, and put him in against even even the worst middle reliever you could find today who's throwing 100 with ease. But all right, side tangent. How far back would you have to go to pluck an athlete as they are and drop them in today's game, and you'd still be confident that they would succeed? 30 years? Like, would Michael Jordan from 1994 still go as he would in today's NBA without having changed anything about himself?
Absolutely not,
Okay,
because
that's too far already.
it's a different game now. And so, and also like the fact that Jordan played in an era where people weren't being trained from the time they were 3 years old, when there weren't these like prep leagues and there weren't like the kind of specialized training that these athletes get their entire lives is different from what it used to be. There used to be people who literally went, "Hey, I was, a good swimmer in college. So why don't I suddenly become one of the best baseball players of all time?" Like, you used to be able to do that. You can't do that now. And so I think even plucking a player from 20 years ago would be difficult in
So
any sport.
you don't think like 2002 Shaq, you could put him in the NBA today? I think he would do just as well, to be honest. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where's that? Where do we draw that line? Is it
I, I
25
think
years
he
ago?
would do well, but I don't think he would do just as well because everyone
Really?
in the NBA now grew up watching Shaq game film. And we learned a lot. I think that sports evolve over time. People get more specialized, they get new information, new technology. The idea that you can go in a batting cage now and know exactly how far that hit would have been and where it would have gone to and what the launch angle is and all of this stuff that we had no idea about even 20 years ago. Like, it is different, but that doesn't mean the people who were amazing competitors then would suddenly look at it and go, "Oh no." Like, we're not just dropping them in. And if we were, the thing that would scare them the most, I think, would just be social media.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, this person in their basement can tell me how terrible I am and put my address of where I live out to the entire rest of the world? I don't want to
exactly. I
play
think maybe
baseball
Jordan would have
anymore.
visited some fewer casinos. Um,
He would have FanDuel and DraftKings right in his own pocket. He wouldn't have to have gone to any casinos.
True. But there would have been, it would have been different. And one of my favorite sports quotes ever actually comes from Ty Cobb, a person who I do not like. But they asked him, they asked him several decades after or a few decades after he retired, how would you fare against the pitchers of today? And he said, I'd probably hit like maybe 310. And they're like, are they that much better? You're a lifetime 340 hitter. Are they that much better? And he just goes, sir, I'm in my 60s.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
That's good comedic
But
timing, Ty Cobb.
yeah, I truly do think that when we look at the players of yesteryear, and this is true for any sport, they would be able to compete with the same knowledge that we have now. I think they would still be fantastic.
I agree with you there. If you give someone that had Michael Jordan's drive, Steph Curry's training regimen from the beginning, obviously Jordan would level up. But I do disagree with you that I think we can go a little further back and just actually pluck somebody. I don't think the game's changed that quickly, but I do think like 25 years is probably what you're looking at to just transpose somebody as is. Babe
Okay,
Ruth,
fair.
though, yeah, Babe Ruth, though, probably a no on either side. Too much access to vices these days. All right, we got our second topic, but
Got
first
me on
it's
that
time
one.
for our not an ad read from a brand that does not sponsor us, so don't sue us. This week's episode not brought to you by BMW, the car company, German manufacturing. Did you just get cut off in traffic? Did you just see somebody swerve across 3 lanes doing 110 in a 55? Are you going 20 miles over the speed limit and there's still someone tailgating you with their high beams on? Yep, that's one of ours. BMW, not a sponsor for this week's show. Am I wrong? I feel like every time I'm looking
No.
and I say, what an asshole. It's a BMW driver, it feels like, on the road.
Yeah. It
So,
is it has become a status symbol for people who do not care about others.
It's insane. If you want to pay us, though, BMW, to say nice things about you and the nice people who drive your cars, that's enoughshow@gmail.com, or any sponsor. Reach out to us. All right, back to the show. Speaking of people who don't care about others, by the time you hear this episode, I will have wrapped up a hosting session with the National Strength Coaches Association. They're a great organization. I work with them a lot over the few years, and it got me thinking about the gym, because that's what I just spent the last week talking about. And I want to say that's enough to people who videotape their workouts at the gym, but not in the way you think. Because it's very easy and low hanging fruit to say, look at all these influencers, they're setting up tripods at the gym. It's so annoying. Who do they think they are, or whatever? That's fine. I don't mind it. Maybe you are legitimately looking to look back at your form later, like a scouting tape. Maybe you are a fitness influencer. You have a successful Instagram career and you're filming clips to teach people how to exercise. Who knows? Maybe your trainer is FaceTiming you, and that's why you're videotaping it. What I want to say that's enough to, though, is once you start videotaping yourself at the gym and it's affecting other people, that's where I draw the line. And that's where I say that's enough. I had an instance a couple weeks ago, and I go to an LA Fitness, which it's like a Planet Fitness, a Blink. You know, you're going to get, because it's so cheap, you're getting a lot of people. It's the gym for the masses. And this group, there are 3 parallel bench press benches there, and they were working on the middle one, and they wanted a 3-camera setup. This was a Scorsese
Oh,
workout, Spielberg workout. So they had set up basically a tripod in front of each of the benches to then have 3 different angles of the middle bench, as well as all of the in-between workouts during their active rest periods next to the bench. And now I saw all these other people trying to get to those 2 side benches. They have to sidestep the tripod. The people filming are telling them, hey, you're in my shot. Well, hey, you're in my workout. So I could not believe the gall of these people to set up a full Hollywood backlot studio for their workout. And that's where I say I've had enough. If you want to film yourself, fine. But once it impedes on me and what I'm trying to do on the day, that's where I've had enough, man.
well, especially the idea of doing that at an LA Fitness. Like I mean, one of those camera lenses is a decade of membership to an LA Fitness. Like
Yes.
I used to go to one when I lived out there, and like it was just it was what I lived in I called it a gym desert, because it was one of these things that, like, other than the LA Fitness, everything was 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and the amount of times that, like, someone's working out with no shoes.
Mm.
Just there was one guy once sitting on the leg press eating a sandwich.
Nice.
Um,
Get your
I
protein as you're working out. It's the most
exactly.
efficient way possible.
I had there was once where I couldn't do pec flies because there were a couple of women sitting there just listening to music, like not even working out. Like, and I was like, you just met up here? Like, you're not
Yep.
here. The reality is, if you are going to a public gym, you have to understand that you are in public. And that is true for anything from do not listen to music without headphones. Do not, do not misuse the equipment. Do not hoard the dumbbells. Do not,
Put the dumbbells back when you're done with them. Don't just drop them across
re-rack.
the room. Yeah, re-rack.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Like, you are not the only one there. If you want to do a 3-camera shoot at your home gym, knock yourself out. But if you are filming, the only thing you can do is set up your phone or your camera or whatever it is, and then film whatever happens. You can't expect people to not be in your shot. You don't have a film permit for that bench.
Right.
That is not your shot. You are simply there.
We could honestly, I think, do an entire 3 episodes on gym etiquette, because
Yes.
it's getting out of control. But yeah, if you look at all these viral videos that go online of gyms, 90% of the time you will see the purple and yellow of a Planet Fitness,
Yes.
because, like, to your point, people just go there and they feel like anything goes because there's a no judgment zone, and other gyms that are like them. But no, this is a judgment zone. This is the basis of this podcast. So
Yes.
you've
I
now
was
been
at,
judged.
I was at a Planet Fitness once where someone was screaming with each rep. And I went over to the guy on the desk and I was like, can we say something to him to stop? And he goes, it's a Planet Fitness. What do you want me to do? And I was like, good point. All right, fine.
Read the wall. No
Yeah,
judgment.
yeah, whatever. We don't care.
Thank you guys for listening. Be better at the gym. Thanks for all your support as well. He's Steve. I'm Mike. We're That's Enough Show at gmail.com, or That's Enough Show on all your favorite social platforms. We'll see you guys next time. For now, that's enough.